I put up these little barriers sort of to protect myself. Like, like I said, I stopped interacting with people for a very long time, and I felt like I needed a change and break out of that and try and push my way into a more positive way of thinking and interacting with others.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Sweet Talking Podcast with your host, Nepherti. It's great to see you all again. Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode. Really appreciate all of your support. I hope you've been enjoying the past episodes, and if you're interested in seeing those past episodes, they are well available on YouTube. You can catch them all in a very nice playlist if you're interested in seeing past episodes, so I hope you take a look at that. And also, before we get started tonight, I do want to very, very quickly thank my patrons. Thank you all so much for your support. Hey there, this is me, Nepherti here, and I am making a video about my Patreon that many of you may or may not know about. YouTube is still hitting me with copyright infringements. Obviously, I want to have music on my videos on YouTube, so they continue to hit me with copyright infringements. I am now affiliate on Twitch, so I do get support on Twitch now, so that has changed. But at the end of the day, Patreon still gives a larger cut. So at the end of the day, I want to just reinform you guys, many of you who may or may not know, you can take a look at my Patreon right now actually, at patreon.com/Nepherti. It'll be right at the bottom underneath my boobs. And basically it's a great way for you to support me aside from, Twitch. And that's pretty much all. Patreon is a great way for you to support me in a more direct way and also allows me to directly give back to you guys. I do give updates relatively regularly. So if joining me on the Patreon is something that you're interested in, you can do so starting for just $1. There are tiers in which I get to spend an hour with you one-on-one. It could be either on Discord or in VRChat. Whichever one you'd want, that's what we do. And I also do voice recordings also. There's the head pet tier, which is $1, the nuzzle tier, which is $5, the huggle tier, which is $10, the snuggle tier, which is for $20, and the uwu tier, which is for $30. So honestly, I didn't want to spend too much time on this video. I'm just kind of here, just being comfortable, whatever, but I just wanted to thank everyone who has already been a part of the Patreon up to this point. I truly want to give you my thanks for supporting me and allowing me to do what I do and, live in this nice cozy room, largely free of most noise, and just be able to create things that I really, really enjoy creating. And so I'm so grateful to everyone who has been a part of my Patreon up to this point, and I hope that anyone who is interested in more tangibly supporting me, this is a great way to do it. I'm looking to revamp Distortio, or DTX for short, and I'm also looking to do a little bit of other content. So I really am looking forward to the future. I'm so excited about what we're doing, and I look forward to what we can create together. See you next time. Especially Apple, as well as Sir Nero. And again, it's totally optional. My content remains completely free. And I hope you all enjoy the podcast for, just what it is. So, as we've always done, we have our next guest, which is Ziggy. He goes by Ziggy Darkstar, but he's looking around like he doesn't know who I'm talking about. But we have Ziggy. We'll just be calling him Ziggy. So we have this gentleman, this darkly clad gentleman, this evening, and we're gonna be having a conversation. We'll be jumping to a number of different topics. Ziggy isn't a streamer, just for context. He's not a streamer, but he has become something of a notorious entity in many VRChat communities, as well as he also is a Twitch mod as well. So there's a lot to kind of dig in here. Obviously, we won't be talking about streaming all that much, but we'll be diving more so into psychology. What drives him. He's a very kind-hearted individual, and we'll be talking about where that comes from, and just really digging into like the nitty gritty of like what he does, why he does it. And I think it's going to be a really, really interesting conversation. So if you're into the whole psychology, philosophy type stuff, that's what this one is going to be about. And I hope you all will stick around for that. I think you all will really have a blast with this episode. So thank you so much for watching, and let's get started. So, Ziggy, thank you so much for joining me on the Sweet Talking podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time, especially since we'll go ahead and start with the elephant in the room, or the kangaroo in the room, rather. You're from the land down under, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm an Aussie.
Yeah, and and
Born and raised.
yeah, and it's like it's very clear in your voice that you are, and you're basically, it's like the afternoon for you currently when we're doing this episode.
Yeah, it's 1 p.m. right now for me, roughly around then. So
Yeah.
it makes catching up and doing things a little bit interesting, but
Yeah.
especially at this time.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I definitely would imagine so. It's like we will be diving into that whole aspect of like what that's like, and like how your friendships and your relationships are generally affected by essentially being like 13 and a half hours in the future ish, something like that, 13-14 hours in the future. So
13 and a half is about right.
yeah, so we'll definitely be talking about that, but as always, I definitely want to kind of touch on the basics. We always start off with asking my guests, since we are in VR chat, I think it's only right to talk about VR chat and to start things off with that, since that's where we're at, and we spend a lot of our time on this platform. So but first, introductions. Who are you? Who is Ziggy? How would you introduce yourself to someone who didn't know you? And just kind of, you can make it as long or short as you want, but just kind of tell people who you are, what you do, and what makes you special.
What makes me special?
Oh well, you don't have to. I mean, that's just
like
me. That's just me saying what I say. But like, you don't gotta do all that. Like, it's totally up to you how you want to frame it. You don't gotta think about like how can I stroke my ego in these few seconds. Like, you don't gotta think of it like that. Yeah. So yeah. So like, who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna quickly fix my mic. It seems I'm a bit low for people.
Oh really?
So hopefully that's a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is fair.
Well, how I introduce myself is, g'day, my name's Ziggy, nice to meet you. Typically, that's how I would start. Stroking my own ego, don't do that too often. Not quite sure even where to begin with that.
Well, I mean, you can talk about like what you do in VRC. Like, hi, I'm Ziggy. I'm such and such years old. If you want to even talk about that, I spend a lot of time doing such and such the games I like to play. Just a very basic introduction. Like, it's it's not too hard.
No. It's been a very, very long time since I actually started talking about myself. I'm more interested in learning about others.
Right.
But, I play games. Like, I'm very comfy cozy when it comes to games. That's where I sort of sit with things. Damn. No, this is where the nerves come and kick in, because now I'm talking.
Yeah. It's okay. You're good.
No, all good. I joined VRC about last year, and I'm not shy about talking about my age. I'm 40. I'm not the oldest person I've met in VRChat, but there's I'm up there. Yeah. I just want to get to know people myself. That's really. And yes, I am a moderator for like a few streamers. Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
Well, yeah, that totally works. That is a perfect introduction, and I can help uncover some additional stuff. So don't you worry about that. So yeah, you said you started doing VR chat about a year ago. Really?
yeah. A little bit before April. Yeah, I started roughly around then in VRC to meet people and get out my own comfort zone and start talking with people again. So yeah, that
So again,
that
so
was
yeah, so when
yeah.
you say again, what's the context behind that particular word? Were you not talking to people not very much before then?
I was slowly not talking with anyone, like apart from obviously having to talk with people for work and like your general shopping or whatever you're trying to do. I became quite much of a hermit and stopped talking with people. And I kind of wanted to address that and change things around. And I watched a little bit of YouTube, watched a little bit of Twitch, and thought I'll give VRChat a try. That's sort of where it all began.
I see. So how did you first hear about VRChat? Like, was it you said you're watching YouTube videos and things of that nature? So what exactly brought you to VRChat and made you think, oh, this could be an opportunity for me to break out of this cycle of hermit life, as it were?
Well, yeah, it sort of started off with YouTube, just watching, trying to gauge if this was going to be something I would enjoy doing, or like, even if I had any interest into VRChat. So I had a few people which I watched on there, and then I decided to try out Twitch. I've had a Twitch account for years, but never really used it. So I decided to do my research and see if I could find someone on Twitch which I liked watching, and maybe even become active in their chat. That's where it sort of all began. That's where I came and met up with Tico. He was the first sort of channel I started talking in. Yeah.
Interesting. So
Oh.
Give me a sec. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically, when you first found out about VRChat, basically you you found out about VRChat, and then you decided to go on Twitch. So you basically you found out about both at the same time, essentially. Like, what kind of drove you to go to Twitch specifically, just because of VRChat? Like, what was it about VRC that's like, I should go to Twitch and meet people and stuff?
I was just doing my research, really. Like, seeing, okay, you get, with YouTube, you get the highlights of, like, people's videos which they put up from Twitch. And one of the persons I used to watch on YouTube was Puck from VRC Puck. He did his own little talk show as well. But so that's roughly where I got interest for it, and I thought I'll see what it's like a bit more live and talking with people, and I wanted to venture out and try new things. So that's where I went to Twitch to give that a crack and try talking with people. So
Okay, makes sense. And when you first joined VRC, what was what were you expecting to accomplish? Was your initial goal to try to talk to more people, or was it just to kind of like were you were you hoping that would be the outcome for you?
It was just aiming to talk with more people. Really is my outcome. Did I expect to jump onto VRC in those early days? Not quite. I didn't have a headset or anything like that. And then I was talking with other channels, and mostly it was where after work, when I came home, it was like Tico's podcast. His Twitch channel going, which was comfy and cozy and sort of something I was looking for after work hours to relax. And it started off as relaxing and me chatting a little bit, and then Tico did a little live meetup, and it took a lot of courage to even turn up for that. So yeah, I was terrified that day. So yeah.
So Tico,
well, I'm truly out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it for sure. So Tico was the first streamer you found, and I guess after that, after going to that meetup, what ultimately did anything change for you at that point?
Yeah, it sort of did. I had someone which I can sort of talk with and chat with, and worked at opening up. And with the meetup, I met a few people from Tico's community, and that's actually where I met Chels as well for the first time, was at that meetup. Didn't really know much of Chels at that time, but that was where we sort of first met up. I was a shy, quiet, and really quiet Nanachi at the time. That was the avatar I chose to join that meetup. So
what Avi?
A Nanachi, the small little. Well, not this Avi, of course.
Yeah.
But small little black and blue Nanachi. I could change into it the show.
Nah. I get you. But so it was just it was a tiny Avi, basically.
Yeah, it was. It's sort of how I felt and sort of related with at the time. Was tiny, small, yeah.
Yeah. Weren't you afraid of getting stepped on?
No, I was quick and able to run around people pretty fast.
Okay.
Well, it was a bit like a bullet.
Yeah. Being smaller definitely does have its benefits. So, but not it's never really been my cup of tea. But I totally get the benefits of being tiny. But so I guess at that point, what how did your time in VRChat evolve? Like, were you on desktop at the time?
Yeah, I started off as desktop. I didn't realize that VRC Chat had a desktop option. I thought it was like a straight, you had to have VR into it sort of deal. So yeah, I was in there and on desktop. Broke my keyboard to it as well, but that's another story.
I see.
Yeah, It, I started off as a desktop user. It took me a few months before I think it was probably around May was when I got onto having my headset. I think that was around.
So 1 month after
No
after
way.
May of this year?
No. Sorry, no, not May of this year. Sorry, it wouldn't be May. Probably around July, actually, last year. Probably at the end of July. Because that's tax time for me. I could throw money around at that point.
Gotcha. Okay. So it started off with that. Did you go straight into full body at that point? Was it just the headset?
I was I first was half body. I had ordered trackers, but I had to wait on the trackers to even make it to Australia. And at that time, it was, sort of around after COVID, and still shipment issues were a major thing coming into Australia. So I was looking at anywhere between 3 to 4 months to be full body.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. The period of time after COVID was definitely very tumultuous. With the supply chains were not in very good working order by that time, because they were basically in a state where there were no resources, there were no people to actually run like the ships and such at that point in time. So it was very much
everyone was playing catch up.
Yeah, like literally, like every country was playing catch up. Even the U.S. So yeah, definitely feel that. I know even back then there was also like the issue of people like struggling to get a hold of like graphics cards, like just like getting like computer parts. Even that period of time was also a major hassle back then. So obviously getting trackers seems to be like right in that vein of technology being being real difficult to get a hold of, especially in your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah. Things like trying to get things like this headset and trackers alone were like just waiting game for whenever they jump back into stock.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So with that kind of covered, now that you're in full body, so basically like it's very strange to be interviewing someone like yourself, because you're actually just like me, which is actually really interesting. What I mean by that is you started VR chat in what was it, March? You said March? April? March?
Yeah, around March. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been March around last year.
Okay. So it's really interesting because like I started VR chat like around that time. Like it was like I was like I got my headset and like I had just gotten started in VRC around the time. So that's really interesting that like we had actually started VRC around the same time, and then we actually ended up meeting at like random parties that I ended up at, which is like pretty wild that we're both still quite new to the platform compared to all my other guests. So that's really, it's nice to have that little bit of a relativity between me and my guests. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we can rely on just knowing how long that. We've both experienced things. I'm actually trying to remember. Was it a Saturday rave which I met you at?
I think it would have to be a Saturday rave. Because the first time I went to Saturday rave, I met a lot of people, including you. So definitely was a Saturday rave. I am pretty certain of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, God.
Oh, okay.
I think that would. No.
All right, I will pick up the slack. No worries. I got you. So with you kind of getting into the flow of being in VR chat and like having those experiences of like, oh, like I'm actually able to interact with people. There are actually people here that are very easy to talk to. and you built up the courage to interact with people. Like I have to ask, like, what was it difficult? Like, did you have any sort of like barriers to entry by being someone like you were 39, now 40? Like, was that an issue at all with kind of relating to people or communicating with people? And is it still something that, if it is it still something you're dealing with?
No, I don't think my my age really changed the way people act or interacted with me. Like, I'm fairly open about how old I was. I even had it in my Discord bio how old I was, just because I wanted to be straightforward with people. Is like, this is who you're interacting with. Like, relating to people with things like it's all like, there's always going to be topics which we can sort of discuss and find interest in, and if I don't understand anything, I'll ask questions. Like, it generally, that's how it sort of goes. Memes and stuff like that, still playing catch up on those. That sort of culture is completely different for me. Didn't really have that when I was growing up.
So it's like, is there like, speaking of like having those when you were growing up, like, are there any like cultural differences? Because I imagine the majority of the people that you know are from the US or Canada, US/Canada, we'll say.
Cultural differences, I really don't get into much of the culture. It's like, when you have holidays, we don't have holidays, and if I have a holiday, you don't have holidays. It all changes up, like, you know, it's like what we celebrate in. Halloween's not a huge thing here in Australia. It's becoming a bit of a theme, but it's not a huge event. Thanksgiving and
Christmas?
Your 4th of July.
Oh, 4th of July, yeah.
Christmas is a thing which we share.
Okay.
we share Christmas.
Okay, had no idea.
That's not a problem. Yeah, right. We do a bit of upside down Christmas as well.
There it is. There's the joke. Yeah.
So yeah, and there are, like, you know, it's learning about other people is like, there's places around the world which I'm still learning about, like where it comes to either cultural beliefs or like just having their holidays and why they celebrate it. So just some of the stuff that I try to get to know.
So in your time in VR chat, can you name like one thing that that you wish, one thing that you really like about VR chat, and one thing that you wish you could change about VR chat, or one thing that you wish could improve about VR chat?
Things which we can improve about VR chat is definitely the camera.
Yeah, I'd like more camera options personally. I'd like a little bit more ability to do more in that regard. Yeah, personally, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah.
It is.
But why the camera in your case?
I try and, like, now and again take pictures. Well, I mostly take pictures on my Abby or with friends, and that's normally when I'm exploring worlds and seeing if I can find a really either cool and cozy place which I'm going to really enjoy just falling asleep in, or some sort of fun game world where we can all have a bit of a blast. Taking snapshots of memories, I guess, is the best I could say, just so I remember them. As thing I like about VRC, it allows you the ability to choose on here we are on a day-to-day basis. Like, most people see me in the savvy all the time. I don't think I'm going to always be in the savvy, but the option to change my own clothes, I guess, in how I feel that day, it's relaxed. Like, it's a relaxing thought. Like, if I feel where I feel really, really small, I'll jump back into my nanachi, or if I just blend into background, I'm mostly in this heavy. Really on the spur of the moment on how you feel.
Mm-hmm. So the freedom to kind of shift how you appear to everyone else, based on where your head is at the moment is free and exciting and even fun at times. Yeah.
It can be fun, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I definitely share your sentiment. I think a lot of people in VR chat generally share that sentiment. Just being able to kind of, shift your skin, shift your body, to whatever kind of like suits the mood. I think that's I think that's really kind of what really brings out the more memorable experiences in VR chat, because like you're consciously choosing what you look like in the moment, but you're also like allowing yourself to be as present as possible. So you're looking the way that you want to look, and you're also experiencing whatever you're experiencing in that moment. So it kind of stays with you a little bit more, I guess, deeply than reality sometimes even. I think people would argue that your time in VRC feels more real than the experiences you've had in reality, simply on the basis of the kinds of people that you know and who you're interacting with at the time. What do you think about that?
Yeah, who you're interacting with is definitely a main thing with VR chat. Like, we want to feel, as social animals we are, we want to feel comfortable who we talk with and interact, push our own boundaries, and just get to know each other. There's going to be times where we disagree, butt heads, and meet people we don't like, but this game allows a little bit of control on how you interact with people. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think like having that little bit of control is, I think, what makes VRC so appealing to people. You get to be in this space, but you get to control who's there with you. You get to control who is actually allowed to talk to you, because if you want someone to shut up, you can just block them. And it's like people can curate their own personal spaces, essentially. And I think that's really what makes VRC very much an anxiety relieving platform for many people, because once you understand how everything works, and that you have to act a certain way, and that you can be blocked or essentially like excluded from certain experiences, I think people work harder to be included in those experiences, because without the people and being involved with those people, you're essentially on an island and on this platform if you're excluded from everything, right?
If we're excluded, it becomes a lonely planet or a lonely universe to be in. If you start getting yourself to a point where you're excluding or getting excluded, and allows you then to have some self-reflection as well of why people may feel that way, or how you feel that way, in interacting with others and just learning. So
yeah, just kind of remembering that people are people. Like, we may be in this space, but like I think like people tend to be very people tend to forget that people are people on social media, because you're blocked. You only have a username to really interact with. But in VRC, you actually can you associate the username with a person, with an identity. And I think VRC can help people not only overcome anxiety, but also for them to engage with people on a more human level, and like accepting people like as they are. People are actually people, they're not just names.
we're not just ones and zeros.
Yeah. For now.
But yeah.
For
wow.
now.
Fair.
Yeah. So,
But
yeah. Go ahead.
Being able to like just treat people how you want to be treated yourself, or like just interacting with someone new you met that day, getting to know about them, or just having fun, or having a bit of a joke. It's all kind of easily doable with this platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. So, I do have another question. Well, I have many questions. Many questions, actually. But to kind of like piggyback off of the conversation with VRC and that sort of thing, why is getting to know people so important to you?
For me, it's learning. It works on my social skills and my ability to relate with people. Just like, if there's a conversation I don't understand what's going on, I take my time to learn what they're talking about and ask questions on, why is that important to them? Like, it's important to me to. I like to understand people and try and relate, and it works on helping me improve for myself as well. So, like, that's where I feel like it is helping in self-improvement, communication, and just getting to know people.
Gotcha. But see, my question, like, the reason why I'm kind of going on this, going in this direction is because, like, you are essentially, in some cases, nearly twice the age of many of the average user on VRC. So, with regards to, like, having proper social skills and getting to know people, I'm curious as to, like, how you grew up and I guess why, like, now at the age that you are now, are you pursuing the idea of getting to know people and improving social skills? So I want to kind of know where that comes from and why now instead of in the past.
Because I kind of wanted to change. Like, I could see that the way I was in my everyday life, I was cutting off catching up with real life friends, which all of them are now mostly in the brackets of married with children, so catching up with them becomes quite hard. And yeah, I just, there's a few things which happened early on in my life which made me be very cautious on who I interacted with, and like, I put up these little barriers sort of to protect myself. Like, like I said, I stopped interacting with people for a very long time. And I felt like I needed a change and break out of that and try and push my way into a more positive way of thinking and interacting with others. That's why it's sort of important to me. Like, well, VRC, where I'm talking with people more, it was just to get myself out of that rut and maybe see if I could improve on the things which I started putting up these little social barriers in my own every day.
Can you?
It's still hard to talk with people.
Yeah, go on.
In real life, so but I'm getting better. At least I'm talking a bit more every day.
Do you mind sharing what caused you to start putting up social barriers and what caused you to do it for so long?
Well, it was a very, very bad relationship, which went to a having a restraining order.
Oh.
So.
Oh. What
And
around how old were you
that-
at that point?
I was in 23, I think, around at the time when that happened. A fair few years back now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very toxic relationship, a very controlling relationship of controlling of myself, and finally getting out of that kind of made me be very cautious of everyone I interacted with. I didn't want to get into things like relationships, and that's where I started building those barriers way too quickly, and found myself into a point where I was not interacting so much with anyone outside my social circle, and slowly not seeking in my social circle.
So even the people that you had befriended at that point in time, you were just like, well, they're just gonna do the same things that that this person did. So your mind just went directly to the worst possible scenario.
Yeah, it definitely, there was a lot of worst possible scenarios. I was seeing a lot of things and friends which I were hanging out with since school days. I was seeing little inklings of what I had from that really bad relationship in a lot of people that I knew. So I was instantly thinking, it's like, I need to sort of back up here and protect myself, in a way. So, at least that's what it looks like, looking back at how I behaved around that time period.
So, you said this happened around when you were 23 years old?
Yeah, yes, it did. Yeah, I slowly went from talking with people to not talking with people, and then slowly disappearing into the background of events and catching up with friends and family, to not seeing people at all. There was a few years where I didn't see anyone apart from who I was working with on that day, or whose house I was painting. So...
I see. So...
Yeah.
So I hope you don't mind me kind of, going a little bit further with my questioning. Yeah, so what exactly happened that, I mean, you said it was a toxic relationship, which I can already kind of put into perspective what that means. But what I guess, what was it about that relationship and how it ended up that ultimately ended up with kind of flipping a switch? And what were you like before then? And what exactly, well, let's start with what exactly happened. What exactly was toxic about the relationship that led to a restraining order? And I kind of want to I want to understand. I think people would benefit from understanding what exactly happened.
It was, well, she sort of swooped in after a bit of a moment in my life, which I won't go into that moment.
Okay.
Sort of in the lines of, it's hard to say. She, at that time, was basically came swooped in to sort of, I can't even think of the right name for it. It was to at least cheer me up, and it started off as a good place.
She was the rebound.
I think maybe.
She wanted to be the rebound. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't really truly a rebound, but like, yeah, like it was. She wanted to be there to, you know,
Pick up the
swooped in and
pieces.
picked me up.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
It started off nice, and then it started like she started getting controlling of who I could see. Was demanding in lines of wanting a say 6-hour conversation out of a 3-hour phone call. Wanting to know my everyday movements of like where I was going to be and who I was with, and if I didn't say answer the phone call, I would have like several phone calls throughout the day, like just trying to get me to answer it. And if it was anyone else who answered the phone, it was an instant hang up and she would start again. And yeah, it carried on like this until enough was enough. They decided to break it off with me, and I went, okay, fine, let's do that. And then like maybe 2-3 hours later, it was like, hey, I want to get back together again. I was like, no more. Yeah.
That's no good. That's real. That's real bad.
No.
Yeah, and like she tried to do that like just the first time. It was like the first time she did that, you were just like no. Basically.
It was like no, like I don't want to continue this. And then it went to lines of wherever I went, they would turn up unannounced. When I went to family houses, like family events, she would rock up to one of those unannounced. So, and it got to that point where it was like, no, had to go through the legal system and get this restraining order done. Which, it stopped her on occasions, but there was a few other times. But yeah, so that's where I kind of started like locking myself away from people and going out places. So.
Was that your first relationship?
No. Wasn't my first relationship. And that first relationship is the one I won't be going into.
Gotcha. That is fair.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that sounds horrible. That I wanted to understand like exactly what was going on, like what was going, because I like you want to understand people, I want to understand you, and I want to understand like the context of like what exactly led you down this path of becoming essentially a recluse. Kind of gradually, like they in Japanese culture they call it like it's like somewhat of like a hikikomori type of syndrome where you barely leave the house, and you only leave the house for essential things type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
The delivery made things so much more easier, but
yeah. I bet. Yeah. I do the same thing, and like I'm not a shut-in, but like I love my delivery. Like, you know, that shit's good. But like it's very convenient. But yeah, I can understand you like relying on that for like a good part of your life. And so essentially 16 years of living that way. Did people start to notice? Like, what did you do when people started to notice?
When people started to notice, I would turn up to their events, showed myself for a little bit, but I wasn't like, you know, interacting. I was see myself in the back listening to the music at their events, or like it wasn't like anything along the lines of like a social, this is a dinner between friends and all that. It was like, come to our birthday party, or come to Australia Day and relax with all your friends from school. Yeah. So I would turn up to a few of those and then slowly not turn up over time, and it sort of that cycle repeated itself a little bit of just ones which I stay friends with and all that. I'd still try to catch up with them, but it's become a lot more harder since, you know, married with children, and they gotta get their social, like, you know, social lives in their order with revolving the kids around.
Right.
So yeah.
Mm. Okay, so yeah, so with that going on, so you decided to go along that path.
Mm.
So you decided to go along that path for 16 years, and and so what was the trigger to kind of bring you back to ultimately, you know, deciding, well, enough is enough. I can't keep living this way.
Yeah. I could see I was having myself a problem, and majorly I was feeling alone. Like, you know, there's only so many days someone can sit in a house by themselves and just have their own self as their own company. I could see that there was an issue and I needed to change. So I thought, well, I'll try things to see how I could better fix myself. Like, yeah. So VRC was that stepping stone out of that sort of social mess I put myself into.
Gotcha. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think a number of people can relate to that sort of thing where, you know, like the outside world seems scary, you know, interacting with people in real life. I think people can really relate to the whole interacting with people in real life thing. I think a lot of people feel a lot of anxiety about that. It can be very, very stressful for a lot of people because of various traumas or just general experiences, distrust, whatever. It could be a variety of different reasons why people, develop that sort of perspective with, you know, interacting with people IRL. So discovering VRC ultimately helped shift you, or it's gradually been helping to shift you in a different direction.
Yeah, it's helping me change my viewpoint. Like, at least push myself out of these, like I said, out of these little social barriers which I've put myself in. Like, some days it's hard in VRC, some days it's easy. Like, the one beautiful thing is you can sort of control the amount of people that you see. If I'm in a large group of people, and I'll start sort of, well, not just my computer be freaking out, but I sometimes freak out. So, yeah. Having that sort of ability to control what I see and increase the amount of people I can see and interact with, having that bit of control helps. Especially earmuff mode, that helps with the sound. So, like, you don't, well, I don't trigger myself, I guess.
Gotcha. Like, would you call what you had like anxiety? Was it just general like anxiety to just social interaction, social anxiety?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would mentally freak out and try and avoid large groups of people. Like, even in my day-to-day life, I can't do large groups of people now. Like, I just feel cramped in and start sort of panicking a little. So, yeah, there's definitely some anxiety there when it comes to how I interact. Even it's getting better, but I still have these odd moments where I won't be able to. Well, I'll just like sit off in the corner by myself and just view however many people I've got shown at the time.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Once in a while, I'll just kind of like hang back and just kind of observe. I haven't been in like a large group in quite some time. I don't have any like social anxiety to the degree that you had it, but oftentimes like I kind of just know in advance that like I'm just not fit to be in large groups, and I'm just not inclined. I'm not generally inclined to be in large groups in general. So it's kind of like I have to make a decision to be in large groups. Is it kind of like that for you? Because I imagine you said your perspective is changing. So what exactly is it changing into? And like how are you approaching it? How are you approaching it now?
How I'm approaching it now is I take my time and get to know someone. Like, treat them nice and, like, learn a bit about them, and hopefully they learn a bit about me. And if I can bring a smile for them to their face and make them have a laugh at my antics, I guess it's also a bonus. Because I like people being happy, not depressed or upset. It's one of those sort of things I want to make someone at least smile a little bit that day, at least. Which I guess in turns it helps me as well. Like, at least I feel that maybe I've achieved a bit of myself, or improved myself a little bit in doing so. So,
essentially, being kind to people and helping them to smile helps you to kind of. It's like a reflection. Like their joy becomes your joy, and like it's like, oh, I'm actually having a positive interaction with this person. It's not going to hurt me.
Energy.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like, especially given the circumstances of like what caused this, like having a positive like reflection back at you, I think is what anyone would really need in those circumstances. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's that whole having some positivity in life, and knowing that maybe I've improved someone that day, or at least gave them another outlook, or someone that they may want to vent with in future, if they feel comfortable enough to talk with me. So, and it's just, I like to think it's definitely being improving in that way. Like, if it wasn't for me doing that, I probably would have never talked with you, like back when Saturday Rave happened.
Exactly. Yeah. Because like, it's very hard to see a ninja in the dark, because like it raves, so it's very dark. It's very very dark. So it's I probably would not have met you because you're in the shadows. It's difficult to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I do blend into the background a bit too easily.
Yeah.
We'll see. I do want to aim at a new look some point this year.
Oh, really? Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
So
I do want to keep the eyes.
Oh yeah, I mean their signature. I mean at this point their signature. It's people know you because of those eyes. It's like kind of like they're like very very like they're like kind of sleepy. Very very relaxed.
Sleep. I was going to be sleepy. I was like, isn't that like the lines of calling me dopey? I don't know.
No. Absolutely not. But it's a very relaxed kind of look, very 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 calm kind of look. to you. But they are very, very strong, very, very iconic at this point, given that it's blue and black for you essentially. So speaking of that, like, I guess how did you come across this Abby, and why exactly have you stuck with it? Like, why ninja? Why ninja Aussie?
Well, actually, out of anything, the reason why I chose this Avi was to be stream safe when I was on Chels's streams. Like, it was back when Twitch was changing up a few rules on their side of things, and I didn't want to cause any issues, so I went hopping around looking for an avatar which I may felt comfortable in, and I ended up finding, funnily enough, like, the creator of this avatar also made Chels's avatar as well. So that was just a coincidence in itself. So, but yeah, like this one, it just feels comfy. I'm used to wearing black back in my early days of growing up, because we all went through that phase of either we were super bright in our clothing choice or just
emo,
monotone, and yeah, emo.
Emo.
No, I used to do like I was a stagehand for Rock and Roll Stefford, which is like a thing my school used to do and compete with the other schools in Australia.
Oh,
so
cool,
I was very
cool.
used to wearing things like complete black with a balaclava or a hoodie on. So yeah, I guess that's why I felt a bit comfortable in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I definitely think the greatest asset was these eyes, because I feel like I don't need anything else, but if I have something which is a good feature, like you know, is like my eyes are up here, not everywhere else. You know?
Right, yeah, that makes sense. And like, not just the eyes, but the ears too. You know, you got the fox ears that go back.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So.
Sort of relate with foxes. We're introduced species to Australia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's all coming together. It's all coming together. You know, Aussie, foxes, ninjas. They're not from Australia. It's all coming together. No, in all seriousness. So like, all right. So your name. How'd you come up with the name, Ziggy Darkstar? I mean, I kind of have I have this sinking feeling that the Darkstar part is a remnant from your younger days. I have a feeling, because it seems very from like what is that anime called? Soul Eater. There's a character with the name Darkstar in Soul Eater, if I remember correctly. So I think you got it from there. And then Ziggy, I have no idea. So, well, you explain it.
Actually, no. So although I, like, if you ask me to name many of their songs, his songs, I'll have a hard time saying it, but I was a David Bowie fan, and
okay.
You know, Ziggy Stardust was his alias for one of his albums. Wait, was it one or was it two of his albums? But so I, instead of like calling myself Ziggy Stardust on VRC, I went with Darkstar. Like, and that's because I don't mind black holes. I like the look of a black hole, and that's normally what I was referred to as a dark star. So.
Okay, and that the name name came before the Abbey.
Yeah, the name came before. It's been my gamer tag for a few years, or like just my subscription for, say, anime and other like things like books and that, which I listen to online. So it just made its way into VRC as well. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would never have guessed David Bowie. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely liked his music growing up. Like I said, I have trouble naming any song, but I'll be able to sing along to most of them.
Gotcha. Okay. That's interesting. Gotcha. Nice. So at this point, I wanted to ask. Oh, right. I wanted to ask. Do you have Phantom Sense? Because you said it feels good to be in that Avi. So do you have Phantom Sense?
Well, okay. So I'm starting to sort of mostly is around my nose. Whenever anyone pokes my nose or starts trying to tickle around my nose, it gets all tingly and sensation, and it's discomforting in a way. I'm not quite sure if it's enjoyable. It makes me reflex back a little bit now. So as for the rest of the body, no, it's just mostly around the face. So
gotcha. I mean, yeah, it seems like most people who have it, they either just straight up have it, but since it seems like you generally keep people at you don't keep people at a distance, but you don't exactly have people touching you a lot. So that could be like.
I don't mind people being in my social. Wait, is it social?
Social bubble.
Not social circle. Comfort zone.
Comfort zone.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mind people being close in my comfort zone. Oh, no, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't mind people being close, or like if they're being clingy. It's not so much, but where this has developed around the face, like certainly has changed up how sometimes my interaction happens if someone's came up to me and started tickling my nose, or poked me or booped me. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense to me. So I actually another question just came to mind when you mentioned we mentioned booping, actually. So again, you're about a year and we'll say like a year and 4 months. 4 months into VRC, your existence into VRC, and somehow, in that short span of time, you've become a mute whisperer. How the fuck did that happen?
Just watching and listening and, like I say, interacting with people. I wouldn't say I'm a mute whisperer myself, but I just take my time to see how their body language is going, like if they're super happy or how they're talking. Like there's so many different versions of a mute in VRC, like where you've got people who use speech to text. We have people who straight up use sign language in ASL. Sorry, not just ASL, but yeah, like VRChat's variant of ASL. Where it's just taking the time and letting them get what they're trying to say across. So eventually you'll start seeing little things which people do, like either if they're feeling down, they're slouching a little bit, or like they start backing off from people, or just how they interact with you, and I just pay attention to them, or at least I give them a bit more than 100% when it comes to letting them talk. And mutes can be very, very loud with their how they interact with people. So
I just find it fascinating. I find it extremely fascinating that you've become this like an interpreter, like a mute interpreter of sorts, if you don't want to call it a whisper. Like I use the term whisperer because it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to use that term. But like you're essentially an interpreter for one specific mute, who I met recently, to be basic. So I'm curious as to how you how you met this individual, or how they met you, and yeah, how did that all happen?
Well, when I first met Tibby, that was back around April.
Of this year?
How it happened? It was this year.
Okay.
It was at what was it? Moon VR's prom, their prom night, which they did. And they sort of asked me there if I wanted to become their talker, and I generally haven't really haven't done that in VRC, so I tried to do at least I tried to do everything once. So I thought, all right, I'll sure, we'll give this a try. Is what I asked, what I said back. It's like it has its ups and downs some days, but like it's I've been taking my time to get to know them, and as anyone else. It's just interaction. Like that's how it sort of began.
So Tibby just asked you, like you happened. So wait, how did you end up at the mute ball? At the mute, how did you end up there?
Well, it wasn't a mute ball, but like it was like. It was a bowl, which was it was a prom sort of event. They were having it as a theme for their event. Like,
Okay.
I got asked to be there, and so actually wait. Now thinking about it, it's actually I met Tibby before then. It was Frank's, one of Frank's streams, I think it was. If I actually really poke and prod my brain matter. So. Yeah, that's sort of how we first met, and it's been a fun time getting to know them and getting to know what mischief they get up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
So. Oh, go on.
No. Sorry, I make noises.
Okay, that's totally fine. All right. So basically, I find it interesting. I don't know if you've thought about this, but it came to mind that for someone who has spent 16 years avoiding interactions with people, that. Not even, well, I guess just about like a year into a brand new platform, you are now interacting with the mutes. And you're I mean, it's still kind of the exercise of getting to know somebody, but you're essentially like you've like, I would assume it's a dedication of sorts to like being around this individual and interacting with them and getting to know them and knowing the ins and outs of that. So like you're interacting with the person, in which you weren't really doing that for a long time. So like
no. And there's days we all have days where it's like sometimes I go, oh, is it too much or is it too little? Like sometimes I retreat and I don't want to say too much, even myself some days. Because it's hard. It's hard. Like, it can be very hard. Well, I guess we all have it. It's like sometimes where we need to have our own space, but we want to also be aware of it. They want to have time and talk with you, and it's a whole balancing act. And as it is, I've been talking like with mutes for the last year and a bit, as much as trying to talk myself and push out of those boundaries, like I said, which I created. So I even went to lengths of like, because of one of the persons I met on VRChat, going to the point of trying to learn ASL. I suck at it, but I can at least understand a bit of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it seems like this, like you have the will to actually want to improve yourself. And after a year and a change of being on VRC, has that gotten any easier, or is it still difficult, comparatively speaking?
It's difficult some days, but I take things at a day-to-day basis. It's nice being met all these fun individuals I've met in VRC, which some of them are probably in the chat right now and causing me havoc. I don't know. But it's been nice, like, meeting and interacting and pushing my own boundaries. Which I feel like I've said that word way too much tonight, or today.
I mean, you don't get to talk about it very often, so it may feel that way because you don't really get a chance to express that side of what you're doing, like, openly very often.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, so that's very. But I found that kind of ironic, just a little bit ironic that you're now dedicating a good portion of your life to interacting with someone who is very difficult to understand at times. But I think it's a good exercise. It's a good exercise. Wait.
It is.
Yeah.
But, they're not the first person which it came to, like, trying to learn and interact with, like where I've been, like, a Twitch mod for Nephi and Chels, like
Yes.
back when
Chels was mute.
back before,
mostly, well, entirely mute.
Yeah, so it was more of a waiting game to let them get across what they were trying to say. Same with Nephi, and like you pick up on things, like, and yeah, it's definitely been a fun time just trying to learn that side of VRC.
Have you spent a good portion of your time, like, did you find mutes, I guess, interesting for whatever, like, did you find mutes interesting as a point of just, I want to understand these individuals better, or did you find them more, I don't want to say easier, but, like, because they aren't, like, speaking to, well, they're speaking but not with their voice, did you find it more, I guess, appealing or, like, easier, given the difficulties that you're personally facing with anxiety, to interact with mutes more so than with people?
Mutes tend to be a lot more engaging, I feel, like, because where they're trying to get more across without saying anything, they tend to, well, like I said, they're the loudest people in the room. If they're sad, they'll show it how they're sad, or if they're happy, God help us, they bounce around or do whatever they are just to get that across. Like speech to text or ASL is involved, like, or like, just typing. Like, they tend to ask a lot more questions and say a lot more, I feel.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so I do want to jump into there's another aspect of like what you do, as an individual that I wanna jump into. You are pretty notorious for being extremely kind, giving even to a number of people, including myself. So I would like to know exactly where that comes from. And I know we kind of sort of touched on it, but I want to see if there's anything else underneath there. So I guess like you're essentially an Australian bachelor who paints houses for a living currently, and it seems like you make a pretty decent living doing so, or at least enough to just support yourself.
Yeah, I make enough to support myself and a little bit extra on the side. As I do it to where I have I guess I call it my fun money. I put a little bit aside every month to say improve someone's day or make someone have a smile. I try to do it to at least enrich someone else's life. To me, I may be working hard for money some days, but it's not like it's a hard thing for me to earn, especially with when things are flowing in my industry. I could be working hard and I'll be getting a fair bit of coin back for doing that. So it doesn't seem too bad to me to maybe help someone out or enrich someone else's life for even just a moment. That's where I do it. Well, I guess it sets off the right endorphins in myself. Endorphins, is that the right word?
No, I think that's I think that's a good word. I think that's a good term. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes me feel at least a little bit better about myself, and if I've made someone else feel happy or improved them just even slightly, I feel like I've achieved something. At least make them happy for that moment, or shock failure them to the point where they can't talk for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I've certainly seen that occur. It's very, very. It's not hard to surprise a streamer, depending on the streamer. It's not hard to stun lock them and just make them kind of at a loss for words, for sure. But yeah, I mean it's interesting to know that it sounds like you do it mainly for yourself. Like you do it because it's something that makes you feel good about enriching someone else's life. Do you feel that way is the best way for you to enrich someone's life, or is that currently just the only means?
There's many ways to enrich someone's life.
Of course, yeah, of course.
It's not the only means.
Yeah.
But, I guess for me, it's if I'm sitting down and I've been watching someone stream for 2 to 3 hours, they've earned my time. That's where I don't have a problem with dropping subscriptions or even jumping on their phone and helping them out with making their stream even further better. So it does help my enjoyment, but at the same time, I'm wanting to make sure that they're getting something out of it as well, and they're feeling happy in that moment. I guess it is a selfish way of thinking, and as well, where I'm doing that for a bit of enjoyment myself, but I'm generally my thought is about the person I'm supporting rather than myself at that time. So
Gotcha.
And there's plenty of people out there who've done some hard work to, I reckon, have earned a little bit of a lavish gift or a bit of extra special treatment. least in my view.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a fairly sound sound perspective to have. You know, you want to let people know that you appreciate what they're doing. And so, you know, in this particular case, a lot of your time is you're either working IRL or you're on VRC or you're modding for a streamer or watching a streamer. It sounds like that is, like, it seems like that's the majority of like how you spend your life. So it's one of those three sectors at any given point in time. Would you say, is that accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's accurate. Yeah. Like, it's definitely accurate in that point. I like to, like, okay, I'm now rambling. This is great. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Like, you know, organize your thoughts. It's all right.
Yeah, in those times where if I'm either on VRC, it doesn't generally have to just be VRC. Like, if they're, like, you know, if they're doing like a game like on Twitch, like where I'm like in boarding, I will. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I generally like, yeah, it's either in one of those sort of areas I'll be like supporting in a way. That's just one of the ways of supporting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean that totally makes sense to me. Absolutely, it does make sense to me. Like, you know, expressing your appreciation for someone who's doing something really, really good that you think is deserving of reward. And like, you spend your time in like Discords. I see you in Discords. You've even been in my Discord for a little bit too, which is much appreciated, by the way. I really do appreciate your presence and you hopping in to say hello. So, with regards to you know, we talked about how, like, your motivations behind wanting to help people and wanting to you know, do nice things for the people that you want to support and everything. So I guess, like, the next thing that we can talk about is your role as a Twitch mod, and I'd like to hear about how did you get into the business of being a Twitch mods for so many streamers, and if you could tell us how many streamers you mod for, that'd be cool too. But just kind of like rough, like with the basics and how that all came about, because you mentioned that Tico was the first streamer that you were associated with, and then you met Chels at Tico's get together. So at that point, I guess, what kind of led you to wanting to become a Twitch mod in the midst of, you know, working on yourself and interacting and, you know, solving your own issues?
Well, as towards how I became a Twitch mod, I was hanging out in Tico's hot tub and walking with him one night, and I was asked if I wanted to become a mod for them. That's where I actually first started modding, was for Tico. It was only shortly after they stopped modding for Tico and started modding for Chels as just their mod at the time. And then I started helping Nephi out with being a mod for their channel. I stand in for Redacted in case anything happens in his streams when he's streaming. Occasionally, if I'm online when it's happening, when Tibby's dancing, I'll help with setting up things for, well, helping them learn how to, like, raid other people or get them out of, like, things that they've accidentally clicked back towards how they wanted it. So I think it's only 4 people I moderate for. I mostly just moderate for Chels majorly. If Neppy does more streaming, I'll be helping Nep out with their stream stuff as well. And that's generally how many people I moderate for. Will I moderate for more people? It really comes down to like time zones, because for me, I want to be able to sleep and relax and catch up with people as well.
Yes.
I have to make sure that I have time for myself. But obviously, it's very hard for me during the day because I'm at work, and it'll be like, well, what is it? So like 12:30 p.m. for me is like
11 p.m. for
early mornings.
East Coast.
Yeah. That's it. Right? So it's the time difference does tie my hands on a lot of things that I can do and who I can help with. I don't want to be like, a burden for someone else's channel, just as like either if I'm stealing up a spot which could be used for someone who actually is in that time zone or is able to interact in that time zone a lot more easier.
Of course.
So it comes down to like my availability and making sure that I have time set for myself, because if I don't, like anyone, like, if all we do is work, we go kind of a bit loco or crazy sometimes.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I definitely do find myself oftentimes working, very, very often. But yeah, you definitely need time to, kind of relax and like I said, take time away from that sort of thing. But basically, it seems like you can only moderate for people who stream late at night. That's what it seems like, from my estimation, given that their late at night is usually your early afternoon, morning, or late morning, early afternoon.
Well, yeah, it's like back sort of like when Chels was streaming fairly regularly. A lot of their streams fell in my time when I got home from work, so I was sitting down, maybe playing a game or watching YouTube or Twitch, so I could keep an eye like on their channel a lot easier, just because it sort of fits in with like where my schedule of my life sort of put me. Doesn't help with early streams or earlier times, because but there's other moderators, which are like, you've nearly got Snap on the whole Undergarden team, like you like you like Amon, Nep, Chelsea, like now myself. It's like you only got like Kaiser and Scythe left in the Undergarden to like play bingo with and gut them all, if that was to be the case one day. But so it all comes down to where I can put my time in. A lot of the time I am able to help, which, like, with moderating the Twitch channels, sometimes you don't have to do anything at all. Like, they've normally got it handled. They'll shout out things when they want to shout out someone. I'll shout out, say, a person who's raiding in or being asked to do something. It's really simple when it comes to moderating. It's just keeping an eye on things and making sure that, like, if something does happen, we can react. I mean, not interact. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Perfect sense. Perfect sense. So, like, how, like, I guess you were just asked. Or did you? It doesn't sound like you can. Like, most people don't volunteer to be mods. I think people who volunteer to be mods is kind of sus. I think for most streamers, if anyone was like, "Hey, I'll mod for you," like, I think that usually feels pretty sus to most experienced streamers. But so in your case, were you just asked, or?
I was asked. I was constant in, like, constant in chat and trying to talk, or at least if I had something which I can relate with, like with either what the streamer was doing at that time, I could interact. And because my presence was there fairly regularly, that's why I was asked if I wanted to start modding, which I've never done it before, and I thought, oh, look, I'm happy to give it a go. And look, I'm not the highest of tier moderators. Like, that's Nephi, hands down, when it comes to being a high tier moderator.
Like, so what do you mean? What do you mean by
quick.
that? Like, being a high tier moderator, what does that look like to you?
Well, they're more on the ball when it comes to things like and not just like in Twitch, in Discord. So like where they may be faster on the uptake of what's going on, which is like either, say, if we're getting a bot attack, which has been very, very rare. I haven't seen a bot attack in a very long time now, or like someone's causing a bit of chaos. Being able to react to that fast and do it professionally, or like add value where they can. Like it really, I guess it comes down to a person by person base. Like for me, it's like just being able to help and do that a little bit more to make the content go a little bit easier for who I'm moderating for.
Mm.
You know, lets them take their hand off the wheel of making sure, like, you know, that then they can enjoy themselves and do more content, what they're enjoying, and interact more with the chat rather than stopping and having to interact and go, I gotta stop this from happening, and yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. And so, like, in general, like with becoming a mod, did you was this also to kind of enrich people's lives? Was it kind of like a similar angle to what you do in terms of your kindness, your tendency towards kindness and getting those endorphins going?
Yeah, I guess I kind of wanted to help out, and like I said, I hadn't done it before, so having the opportunity to try it out and see if I can learn something in the progress and help someone out, like, you know, it meant more time hanging around with that person and getting to know them, and I guess it does help with me and my social skills and all that, having like and my interaction skills. Mainly to yeah, I just want to help. That's all it was in the end. Now you disappeared again. So yeah. Hello again, chat. We are definitely having some technical difficulties.
I've been in VRC like 3 times this week, and this has not happened at all. Like this is like hella bad. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's better than having my entire headset shut off, but it's still pretty bad. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for finishing your thought, by the way, Ziggy. Thank you for finishing, because like that will be easier for me in post. So thanks for wrapping up what you were saying, because I can just kind of skip ahead, with like minimal showing of like technical difficulties. All right, I'm gonna do just one quick check, make sure I'm good, really quickly. Okay. 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 So, all right. And, okay, so we'll just kind of jump into things from here. So it seems as though you're generally looking to be helpful to other people. You wanna help people, enrich their lives. You're generally just trying to be very, very, I guess because you're already present in their streams. This is just another addition to kind of being there. And like obviously there are other people who are moderating, and at I guess as you say, like at a more higher level, quote unquote, but you're still there and you're still doing your part to make sure that that the streamer's taken care of, to whatever degree that you're able to. It sounds like, yeah, which is really really great, yeah.
Yeah, however I can, like I've learned things over the last year which I never thought I'd have to learn, or never actually even tried, to be honest, with some things. So it's been definitely been an eye-opener, learning, like, I guess, the behind the scenes of content creating.
Oh yeah. There's definitely a lot that goes into it. As you've seen before we got started tonight, there's definitely a fair bit that kind of goes into making all that happen, for sure. So the idea of catching a streamer off guard, I know there's definitely a good feeling that comes from that. And I know that you've shared your perspective on it, but I'm curious if you maybe have a different sort of thought process with regards to how other people approach it. So, for example, let's say a streamer is just kind of doing whatever, and then all of a sudden, someone just drops 100 gifted subs out of nowhere, and then they'll be like, "Oh, ho ho ho! I'm not done yet. Let's break the streamer. Let's break the streamer. Let's do another 100." And they'll do another 100. So I'm curious as to, like, do you have any thoughts about that perspective, that approach towards it, of like the idea of like quote unquote breaking the streamer? Because I don't know. There's something about it that kind of like, I think it's really, really nice. Like, obviously I'm a streamer myself, so I'm not exactly going to be upset if that were to happen to me, which I know it has once or twice, for sure. But I want to get your perspective on that kind of mindset of deliberately causing chaos in order to, I guess, quote unquote, break the streamer. Like, does that feel the same as what you're trying to do, or does that seem different? Since I know that you're generally known as a very giving part of many communities. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about that?
I guess it's more on the base of the individual, like on what they want to have reaction. Like for me, like I said, like I'm trying to like enrich someone's life. Sometimes people want to do it as to disrupt, or they're doing it to like get more people to see what their streamer's doing. Like, getting someone flustered does create content in its own sense. So like, if the disruption, like, some people get enjoyment of, like, you know, having someone break down and into lines of like either giggling fit, going, I'm not sure what to do. Sometimes you'll have people sort of burst into tears because of it, and then chat's like trying to say, no, hey, you deserve this. Like, you know, you've been giving us content and making us happy because we've been watching you. Like, you know, it all comes down to what the reaction they're trying to achieve, I guess, or they could be just doing it like myself, out the kindness of their own heart, going, hey, this person is really pog. I want to show them a bit of support. And that sometimes, like, even then, like, you know, you'll have people who will drop, like you said, like 100 subs or 20 subs. Even just a single sub sometimes, like, will make a reaction, but it really comes down to what someone's trying to achieve, I guess, of doing it. So I can only say for my own actions on that, on the mindset of what I do. The rest of it's just guessing on how someone wants to achieve it.
Okay. Do you think that there is, like, as someone who has, you know, made many people's days, again, I have nothing against the idea of you know, trying to make someone smile and enriching their lives and, like, genuinely trying to make someone, like, help someone improve what they're trying to do in the content that they're trying to create. But do you think that there is something to be said about doing it for the sake of being given attention, or just disrupt to the point that, like, everyone is paying attention to that one individual? Do you think that there's anything to be said about that?
Yeah, you do get people who just, like, you know, who'll do it for the sake of bring more attention to themselves, I guess, than the streamer. Well, it does happen. I don't see it happen often in the streams that I go to often. And sometimes it can be quite random, like it yeah, like sometimes, like, you could see some people do it in the lines, I guess, if you would, some people would do it in lines of bring attention to their channel sometimes. Like, it can be quite double-edged depending, like, people and how they sort of interact. Like, even yourself, like, you probably have had someone come in and, like, you know, maybe either dropped a couple of subs but then start talking about themselves, their own channel sometimes. Like, I guess it's almost like buying viewers at that point in a way, but it really is based on the moment, really, on what the interaction they're having.
Thank you for that very, very concise answer. I mean, obviously you can't speak for everyone. That makes sense. You can't speak for others, but I wanted to get your perspective on it, since you are you generally occasionally engage with you know, with making people's days, which again is always appreciated. You know, I honestly, I truly do mean it, like, because you've definitely helped me out a number of times. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate all the your kindness that you show. It's definitely,
I have to mention it.
yeah, I mean it's definitely like kind of different. Because I always wonder, like, what's going through people's minds when they do that sort of thing, where they just kind of, like, freely just drop that kind of money. Because like, the thing is, like, I know for me, like I'm no stranger to gifting people funds either. Like, I've done my share of just dropping bombs on a streamer. I've done it before myself. And it's purely out of the kindness of my heart, because I see that there is a clear need, and I want to help them reach their goal of meeting that need. So that's usually my motivation. I want to achieve some level of need and help the streamer get to that goal. Not simply for my own. It's not for my own ego. It's not for attention. It's solely to help the streamer achieve a specific goal. But that's just me personally. So I'm sure you can relate to that. But
I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So at this point, I think we've covered all of the I felt like there was going to be like more psychology stuff to kind of like dive into. I wanted to analyze your brain a little bit more. I think you have a very, very, actually, you know what? Yeah, you take off the hood and it exposes your brain. Yeah, that would be something. Okay, so actually I do have a little bit more psychology things, because like this is mainly going to be this is mainly a psychology based interview. So I do want to ask about just your demeanor, your overall demeanor. I think it's easy to kind of write off your demeanor as simply, oh, that's just how Ziggy is. Ziggy is just a generally very calm person. So I would like to know, and I think others may want to know, is there anything particularly behind the calm demeanor?
I'm generally a very relaxed person most of the time. I don't stress as much because I guess my outlet is painting. Where I'm painting someone's house, I can just work hard and get rid of whatever's sort of weighing me down at the moment. In terms of, if I, like, don't get me wrong, I do get angry, I do get frustrated. We're all human. Like, we all have these moments. I just guess I have an outlet where I can do that. And generally it means like, well, there's one thing I was said when I was first started working from my boss, that any anger or negative feelings, just leave it on the job site. Don't take it home with you. So I generally, like, when I leave work to get home and relax for the rest of the day, that's all left behind. I don't need to worry about it. Hopefully I'll never have to get angry about it. Like, I guess that's where I have a bit of an outlet to diminish. It's a very rare day if you actually see me angry.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
What does that what does Ziggy angry look like?
Well, I probably swear a lot, but I am Australian. That tends to actually be a part of our culture as well. Well, I'm a tradie, so I get that's also part of my culture as well. But I have a boxing bag outside for venting if it ever gets to that length of me being that angry. I don't like if I'm feeling that way, I don't interact with people. I tend to avoid like anyone if I feel that way. So I'm not a destructive person in nature. Like I'm not going to go throw off like controllers and storm out the room or something like that. So hopefully no one ever gets to see me be shouting or screaming in VRC, because it's not something I want to do to people.
Extremely relatable. Like, honestly, like for me as well, that is extremely relatable. I'm not one to get angry either. It's very like I like the idea of being in control of my emotions and not allowing dumb shit to get under my skin. So it's I think it's extremely good that you choose that you know that to disengage if you're ever feeling that way. I do the same. Very, very similar in that regard. So what actually makes you angry?
Country music. No.
I think everyone is just like true. I think most people are like big true.
No, there's some people who really like country music, which are gonna take offense to me on that one.
Yeah.
I guess like for me, it's like seeing like we go back to say like how my ex was treating me and all that. Sometimes when I see that sort of behavior getting around, like, or someone being treated like that, that does make me angry. Like that would be definitely one. It's just mistreating others, I guess. Like if someone, like, we don't need the negativity. Sometimes it's deserved, like if someone has really done something, but like, you know, it's all based on like what's happening now in the moment. But as for me, like, there's not many things now these days which gets me truly angry apart from, like, you know, politics, and we don't want to go into that.
Right, of course.
Just stupid decisions. Just stupid decisions. That's, yeah. Nah. And there's been very few people who've actually got me to the point where I'm angry with them. It does happen, but like very few which will ever get to that point with me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that certainly makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, become the master of your emotions. Always. That is important. If you can do that, you can overcome most difficulties. But that's not to say that shit doesn't get hard sometimes, and you gotta.
No, everyone has days where it's tough and heavy, and it can quite easily slip and take it out on the wrong person at the wrong moment.
Absolutely.
It's just how we deal with those moments, how we interact with people, is where it goes.
I completely agree with that. Completely. So, let's see. So, I know it's kind of a touchy thing, but I am curious about your love life, or what could be your love life. What could be, in this case. So, you know, given what we've covered, we are all very familiar with the bullshit that you had to go through, which is completely horrible, and no one should have to go through that. So, in the event like that you were to be interested in someone, what is it about them that like, what would you personally look for in a partner, hypothetically speaking, of course, just out of curiosity?
Well, I definitely have to feel comfortable around them, but, you know, having a bit of brains helps as well. Like, you know, sometimes, like, you want an intelligent conversation. I certainly sometimes seek a bit of intelligent conversation when it comes to it. Kindness is another. But, you know, able to give back as much as I can give them. I say,
you know,
just
just fucking having a two-way fucking street. You know, just make it a two-way street. Yeah, it's very simple.
That's it. That's it. Exactly. Yeah. So, I guess that's something I'm still thinking about what I want, or it's really hard because, like, everyone's so very different. It's like sometimes you don't even know that you want that in your life until it's actually happening in front of you.
Right.
Sometimes.
That's true.
You know. Yeah. But intelligent and a kind person, I guess, like, on the high ups of that scale.
Okay. That makes. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I said, I make noises.
all right. Gotcha. Okay. So let's see. So, I guess what would you need? Well, I guess what would be an ideal kind of, I guess, like if you were to engage with somebody, like would they have to have certain interests? Would their interests have to align with yours? Or I guess what would be like a proper like date for you?
Well, I guess having something, at least one thing similar in common helps, because that helps with breaking the ice. But
Right.
being different from each other is a positive thing in my view, because, like, you know, I have my interests, you have your interests. Like, I might find some interest in what you take, and I'll have a conversation on that. Being similar kind of limits like what you can talk about, because you may have things that you can talk about, but they'll eventually run its course sometimes. So having something that you're not knowledgeable in, and having that ability to go and say, you've done some stuff which I haven't done, like like, I have very little understanding when it comes to music knowledge, but like I find it interesting when people are talking about it. Like myself, I am painting for a living. I don't find any interest in watching paint dry. But someone might.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, like having a fair bit of dissonance between one's interests, I think is quite welcomed, for sure.
It's healthy, I feel.
Yeah.
Because it you could go and do your own thing, and they'd be able to do their own thing as well and have fun, like interacting, and you learn more about yourself. Like, you might find that what they're doing is interesting enough that you may give it a try, or you might just go, nah, that's their thing and that's it, but but it's I feel like it's a healthy thing to have similar and then not so similar tastes. It's a bit of a balance.
I agree. Like, I would even venture to say that an individual should be able to, to put it and to use your words, enrich your life. Offer something that is unique. That, like, basically, like, both of you should have your shit together and be able to offer something new and fresh to the other person's life that maybe they wouldn't have had otherwise. So it should be an addition to a person's life, not like you need that person to fill something that you should already have for yourself. They're adding on to what you already have for yourself, and vice versa as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is also. It's also extremely healthy, I would think.
Yeah, having someone there just to fill something that you don't have, that doesn't sound quite healthy to me. Like, you filling in a spot which you reckon you should have there.
That just means you gotta work on yourself.
Yeah. Like even now, I'm working my social skills. freaking out, but yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're here on the podcast. You know, after doing this podcast, you should be able to talk to just about anybody because, like, you sat here to talk to me, and like you survived hanging out with me for 3 hours. As a feat, you should be proud of yourself, and I think you could talk to just about anybody now. Am I right?
Hey, well, I enjoy talking with you because it's always a fun time. So for every time I have been able to hang out with you.
Thank you. It's always great talking to you too, Ziggy. Like, my favorite thing is like every time I see you, I gotta make you laugh. Every single time. Like I gotta make you laugh because I don't think you laugh enough personally. Like I just have this feeling that you don't have enough laughter in your life. So whenever I see you, I'm like, I gotta pick on Ziggy now. I gotta make this guy feel a certain way because I think that's important. Everyone should be able to laugh. He can't be just doing all these nice things for people. He also gotta have some nice things done for him too, because like who's doing nice things for Ziggy, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're right. That's fair. I can't argue out of that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's fair.
Yeah, because like again, you're an Aussie bachelor that prefers the shadows, but you're slowly creeping out of the shadows, and you'll get a new Avi to represent that. And it's gonna be glorious. I'm gonna poke at you and be like, yo, where's the hoodie? Like, what happened to the hoodie? But like it's gonna be great.
Well, the hoodie might stay. It might. Who knows? It might just get a complete different look. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Like so, like I think people like they're like you again. You are the type of person who always seems to be looking out for other people and doing things for other people, and like but you've been on your own for so long and you've like looked after yourself for so long that like the idea of someone doing something nice for you seemingly hasn't really crossed your mind. So every time I see you, I'm like, this guy is like doing all of the things. So
that's true. Like say at least this year alone I actually received a birthday gift for the first time in a very long time.
Wow.
So,
see, that's not
having
good.
Something nice done to me. Well,
I mean, it's good that you got the gift, but I mean, after for so long you haven't is what's not good. To be clear. Yeah.
It definitely it brought a smile to me that day. Like I was hassled about birthday gifts as well by that one individual. I was like, you get yourself an Amazon wish list made, make sure that there's things on there, and then send me the link. It's like I feel feel uncomfortable with doing that, but like it's like I ended up doing it in the end and getting a birthday gift. So
nice.
Definitely not something which I've had happen in a while. So I'm very grateful and happy about that one.
Yeah. Make sure.
That's why I've got so many boxes of Pocky at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely let people know about your birthday, or just let people know like what you like and what you're into, because cause I think people want to say thank you. Like I can say thank you. I can say thank you a million times for all the things that you've done for me, but like sometimes you just want to make someone happy. You want to give them. You want to give back to them.
I get that. Yeah. And that's something I have to come to terms with myself as well. It's like sometimes people want to give that sort of feeling back. So yeah, I get that.
Quite so. So again, this is all hypothetical. Just like I asked this of all of my guests. I have to. I gotta poke and prod at their psychology to see what they care about in terms of the romance type of interactions. So like if someone were interested in you, what would be the best way for them to approach getting to know you without acting completely creepy about it? What would you recommend that they do to approach you? Let's say like they saw you like over in the corner in the shadows. They're like, oh yeah, that look at that mysterious guy over there. Look at that guy over there. Like, he seems quite interesting, quite interesting. So like, what would be the best way?
I guess I'm a bit of a brick when it comes to that because because I probably haven't been interacting that. Sometimes I miss those signals, so being a little bit forward about it sort of works well with me. Like yeah, but don't expect something back because I like to get to know someone first before I go and say I want to know you more. Like if it was to that, there's only been a handful of people I've met on VRC, which I will put the time in to want to get to know them to that level and hope that something maybe blossom there one day. There's very few. Yeah.
Of course. Like I think it's important for people to be choosy. I think it's important for people to not just simply, accept the first thing that comes flinging at them, or running at them at top speed. In VRC's case, I think it's important to have some level of just expectation and of personal integrity for a person to like, hey, like I need this sort of thing first, and then we can talk about like the other things later, and but not just accepting anything that's just like just kind of tossed at them. I think that's definitely important to have. But like even on the friendship level of things, like I guess a person would just have to come around and just say, hey, what's up? How you doing? Like just people could just talk to you like if they wanted to be your friend.
Yeah. No, that's it. It's more of like creating that conversation, learning. You're creating bonds. So like, where I spent say those a few months back, where it's like I've pumped in on you and I've said hello, I've had a conversation. We're creating bonds at that point. Like,
right.
And in VRC, I generally like myself if I'm making friends and all that. As you probably know with everyone, is like when you get like a random friend request from someone you haven't met yet or haven't even had a word with, you're less likely to have a conversation, like add them to your friends list.
True.
Like, I go a step further. It's like generally I have people shown as robots, so I only have them as a grace. Like if they came up to me and had a conversation with me, I'll show their avatar, but I won't accept their friend invite until maybe the second time I meet them and had another conversation with them, if I bump into them again. So like we meet people. Like if I did like every person who sent me a friend request, I'll have this like library of people I don't know.
Exactly.
So
yeah. Yeah, I'm even hesitant to take friend requests. Like even if I've talked to an individual, and it may have just been like for 5 minutes. I'm even hesitant to like take a friend request. For me, I would not take a friend request for a person that I don't feel as though I have vibed with. I have pretty keen eyes when it comes to these sorts of things. Being a cat and all. It's very. I pay very close attention to people and their intentions, and so for me, I'm very, very cautious when it comes to friend requests with someone that I haven't spoken extensively with. I also wait for like
meshing
usually
with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, meshing with someone does help as well. Like if you're both on the same vibe and you're having fun, if you talk to someone for like 5 minutes and then they stand around saying, "Why haven't you accepted my friend request yet?" There's less likely going to be a chance of that happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Don't be weird. Just don't be weird.
No, yeah, no, there's that. And I guess if I was wanting to be friends with someone, I ask if it's okay if I send them a friend request, like see if they're wanting to engage on that. And it does happen that you'll get someone say, no, not really.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does happen. So, and that's their choice, and it's fair, and you respect it. At least that's what I try and do. Is I respect it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Don't invade people's space when they don't want it invaded. I think it's a pretty simple rule for both IRL and VR. So, I guess, do you have any particularly strong feelings about VR as it continues to evolve into something that allows us to engage more deeply and interact with people on a more like connective basis? Obviously, there's like things like phantom synths that can be developed or that people are just lucky enough to have. But do you have any sort of thoughts about or any desires to see VR continue to grow and expand into a way that we can have like Ready Player One scenarios, for example? Is that something that you would like to see?
Well, I don't want to see those the housing developments like.
Oh
Ready
yeah,
Player
yeah.
One.
What happened in
just,
reality in that time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. Like, people are always innovating on technology, and like we've got now the mixture between VR and AR coming on, or like we got people trying new things. Just seeing the technology develop, like having people like it is a niche area of interest for a lot of people, I guess. But like we've seen this technology used in not just social, like we see it in like either military use, we'll see it in surgery, we'll see it in like probably in schools in some time in the future. Like it would definitely save on like CPR procedures, I guess, or like having those little plastic dolls. Like just having that tech there to either, well, not just teach, like seeing it advance that, like, well, I rather not thinking that I could actually sit here and have a robot spray a room for me. That actually sounds really good right now. Having a robot spray a room for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having that attention to detail, being at home, that'd be fun. But yeah, I'm just interested to see, like, let's say, like, tracking improves, like the technology improves over time. We're seeing it with people getting new hands, eye tracking and facial tracking. And there's some very talented people out there who are, like, developing and pushing that even further.
Yeah. That is quite true.
Make noises.
Okay. You keep catching me. All right, but yeah, I agree. It's very much it's a very fascinating line of technology that it continues to evolve, and I think with the idea of like robots spraying your apartment would be more so in the vein of artificial intelligence, where you can have an automated automaton.
Yeah, that'll be where I lose my job.
Yeah. Where you can they hire robots to paint for you more efficiently and more accurately.
Yeah, well, there's a few companies out there which have now got robots building houses for them. So, like, yeah, technology will progress regardless.
Do you think that there's?
Yeah.
Do you think that for painting? I know you said like, oh, well, that's where you lose your job. But do you think there requires a special human touch to the kind of work that you do? Or do you think it can be replaced? Like sort of like art, you know? Is there some sort of like soul that goes into the work?
Well,
painting?
for what I do, it can be probably replaced one point in one day. Probably not in my lifetime, but I would see it happening. Maybe I might see it at the end of my lifetime. Who knows? Like technology is progressing. Like you got Boston
Dynamics.
Robotics. Sorry,
Boston
Dynamics. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Creating robots which run and do backflips, or robotic dogs which are all trained, or they've got a few things where they've been showing off. As their technology progresses, like we'll probably see robots which are able to put up a piece of drywall and put it, like, hang it, walk off, get another sheet, and do that throughout the night. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing things like that pop in more as technology advances.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is obviously there's room for like medical improvements in medical technology, and how that technology can be used to improve people's lives, create various ways of automated care. You know, the idea of like.
Well,
go ahead.
It's just like, I think it was this year we saw, was it a nurse in VR, like I think it was in the same country, had a doctor walk them through the procedure to do surgery on someone over that distance. Like, she hasn't got the training, well, that exact training what he had, but he was able to walk her through, like, how to do it in VR. I wouldn't be surprised seeing, robotic technology getting put to that sort of use as well.
So that humans are no longer doing surgeries, but automated, like, robots are?
Well, I think it was a few years back I had a robot doing microsurgery on a grape, showing the technology being in use. Like, so cutting it open, stitching it back up. As technology progresses, like, we'll see that get refined. It could possibly be a thing.
Okay, so do you think that your job can be replaced?
I think it can be one day, yes. Like, I love it too, but like it's possible. Like, yeah. But there will have to be changes in the world before that probably happens.
Right. And well, I think most advanced technologies will definitely affect the world before they trickle down to the small businesses, or that are like doing that sort of like construction. Well, I guess construction is pretty
in larger commercial companies.
Right.
Commercial companies where they can throw that money at that technology and invest into it.
Right.
Like, you probably won't see it within the size of the scale of what I do, but it is possible. Like, yeah.
If you ever lost your job, what would you want to do instead?
That's a good question. Something new, something physical. Because I do try to keep myself fit. So, like, and with my job, I'm moving around a lot. So I feel like if anything I go to from now, it won't be a desk job. It'll be something where I can move around and, get a bit of exercise in the process.
Mm-hmm.
What it may be, that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is fair. That I think that's a fair answer. So, where would you like to be 2 years from now?
Well, probably not on this couch, but
What? This couch right here? So you don't want to be back on the podcast? I see.
No,
I see
no,
how
no,
it is.
not
I
this,
see where this is
not
going.
saying this
I
one,
can
I
I can
mean,
take a hint. I can take a hint, my guy. You know.
Oh no, I've really mucked up there.
You don't want to be on this couch. I get you. But
Yeah, no.
well, go on. Go on.
Humble beginnings. It'll
Yes.
probably change in
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it's like if I did come back here in 2 years' time and we're both back in the same world.
That would be really weird, but really cool at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a trip down memory lane.
Yes. Quite so.
2 years from now, I'm hoping to have, well, apart from being here in VR and maybe still interacting with people here, well, it all depends on what happens with the technology. I'd like to maybe travel the world and go to a few places, but definitely like come to the States and say hello to yous all over there. That'd be fun. A bit of chaos in that.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
I did think about trying to do it this year, but yeah, things didn't quite go so well on that, and I've got to rearrange things in my life for next year. So yeah, we'll see how those go.
Okay. So when you say you don't want to be on that couch, you mean do you want to like move somewhere else? Do you want to relocate or have a new couch?
I actually think I might want to relocate. I'd like to relocate somewhere else, maybe. And this couch may come and join me. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, like where I live, like it's like a retirement village. Best days is the description of it, like the retirement village of Australia. So going to somewhere a bit more active and possibly more opportunities. We'll see. Like, you know, I think that means moving into a larger city. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That works. Okay. So, So if you could tell the people who are watching one thing of encouragement, you know, one word of advice, knowledge, encouragement, what would you tell them? What would you tell them?
Encourage them. Chase your dreams. Doesn't matter how many times you drop or fall down, you know. You've learned from the experience, try again, you know. Like, every day's a school day is what I've been told, so, you know, we're always learning, we're always trying to improve ourselves. Just, you know, there's always a better opportunity out there, we just have to reach for it ourselves.
I agree. We stop learning when we're dead.
Yeah, well, that's very true.
Yes.
And then people learn from the dead, but with that
right.
medical
Yeah.
science, whatever.
Right. But yeah, the idea of, you know, obviously continuing to explore new ideas and chase after the things that interest us, you know, to not simply accept defeat when it is presented to us, but to continue to pursue more of what it means to be great, of our potential as humans. I think is important to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah, I think you said it right, where it's like if we stop learning, we don't progress.
Right.
And we get ourselves into a rut. And then that's when we start feeling down about ourselves and not happy with ourselves, is when we don't see ourselves improving. That's generally how it feels some days. So, you know, learning a language, reading books, gaining knowledge, doing exercise. We can all do these things to better improve ourselves. Hell, we've even got Shell somewhere, probably still in chat. She's at the gym improving herself right now.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah.
Extremely, extremely admirable,
Yeah.
and I think those are pretty darn good wise words. I think everyone can take something away from that in their own way, and obviously I definitely do want to thank you, Ziggy. This has been fun. I really appreciate you coming on my podcast and talking to me.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
I remember the first time you asked me about it.
Yeah, I think the first time I asked you about it, you were actually pretty nervous, and you sort of like, were you nervous, or were you like, why the hell do you want me on the podcast?
I would say probably nervous, and why me? Because like myself, like I don't see myself as a very interesting person, but I'm guessing and this is myself, from an outsider's perspective, I could have some interesting qualities. Hell, I have a lot of people who like my voice.
Yes,
so
yes, they do.
That's one thing. Yeah. I don't see how. I'm looking at you, chat. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the American syndrome. It's the American syndrome where we have a thing for people who have accents. For some reason, we find people like 3 times more attractive if they have some manner of accent. It's something just the Americans suffer through. It's weird. I deal with that sometimes too. So it's
Oh.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I am the master of my own emotions. So despite that being the case, I have myself in check. For sure.
Fair, okay.
But yes. I think most Americans can agree with me. So when someone puts on an English accent, we can't help but find them more attractive. It just works out that way. But don't I sound more cultured? Don't I sound more like a little bit more attractive, a little bit more high-born, as it were?
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna say is like whenever I hear an English accent myself, I keep on thinking it's like, oh great, I have a Google navigation turned on sometimes.
Now, at 500 feet, make a left.
Yes.
You have reached your destination.
It does it. Everyone, I guess.
So that's your type then?
I know if there's a voice which. No. Definitely not. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to listen to more voices of the world and figure out what type is my type, if I came to think of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like voices really don't do it. Like everyone has a unique voice. Like so it really doesn't do too much for me, I guess. I it's not what I find attractive, but everyone sounds different. It doesn't matter how you sound, as long as you're a good person in the end.
And I think that is a great note to leave off on. Yeah, that was, I think that's a great note to leave off on. Doesn't really matter how you sound, though it's nice. It matters who you are inside and your character and how that is expressed in different situations and such. But yes, thank you so much, Ziggy, for being on the podcast. I do think it was worthwhile. I do think many people have learned something from hearing you share your perspectives. The things that you've gone through, the ways that you're trying to improve yourself, and just your experiences in VRC and everything with regards to interacting with mutes and just trying to find a way to overcome the social anxiety that you've placed on yourself all these years. Tearing down those walls, I think can be really, really helpful and inspirational to a number of people, since I would venture to say that a large swath of people in VRC do suffer from social anxiety. And hearing it from someone who is older than them, I would imagine most people who would be watching this, you would be older than them in most cases. I think hearing it from someone who still kind of is going through that and through that, I think can be seen as very inspirational and very helpful to people. So thank you for being willing to share your story, and how you're working towards becoming a better version of yourself. I think it's really, really great to hear.
Yeah. It's been nice being here and talking about it. Like, didn't expect it.
Yeah, I have a way of doing that.
You know.
Yeah. I do have a way of catching people off guard, just a little bit. Just a smidge. Yes, just a smidge, indeed. So, where can people find you? If they, I mean, obviously, I know you're not a content creator or anything of that sort, but where can people find you if they wanted to, say hi and become friends or something?
If I bump into you in VRC, you'll find me in VRC. I mostly hang around, I pop around in a lot of servers and Discords. I do mainly hang around the Undergarden, but I venture around, and you may bump into me here and there or anywhere really. Depends on where I'm at the day. And who knows what the future may hold.
True.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I do have, I don't even know what to call it anymore.
Just call it Twitter.
Twitter to me.
Yeah, just call it Twitter.
Yeah. Let's just call it Twitter. Yeah, yeah. I do have one of those as well, so I don't do too much on it, but yeah, it is a way of contacting me, I guess, if it came to it.
Cool.
But yeah.
And just for funsies, real quick, I tend to like forget to ask these sorts of questions, but just really quickly, we're gonna do like a quick lightning round before I tell people where they can find me. So, what's your favorite video game?
Favorite video game? Slime Rancher is one of my favorite video games. It's so relaxing. I don't often hit like games like COD. I do have it, but I don't know. I lost my interest in that over years. Like something about it.
Okay. Favorite genre of music?
I'm metal. I like metal music, but I like listening to old music. So trying different genres of music and seeing what I like and what I don't like. Over the last year, my music genre of what I listen to has exploded due to the people I know and met. And some of it I've learned to love, some of it it's interesting.
What really quickly, what drew you into the rave scene? If music isn't like a major part of your life, in like as few words as
the rave
possible.
scene?
Yeah, what drew you into that?
I was actually I just joined along with Chels one day, and my first person I was listening to, I think, was Redacted. And then I heard Turquoise later on. So that's where I sort of went into the rave scene. It was like, was through those few people.
Gotcha. Tits or ass?
Do I have to choose just one?
A man of culture, I see. A man of culture.
I actually prefer flies, to be honest. I like the look of flies sometimes.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's that's actually not too far off. That's actually not a bad look at all. I think many people would agree with you. It's like somewhere kind of in between. Thighs can be quite nice. Very comfy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Some of them would be very comfy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And those are all of the quick questions that comes to mind. So, I just kind of want to conduct that quick lightning round. I feel like people had a few questions, but that's just me. I was just asking those questions. I wasn't looking at anything. I just these are questions I'd like to ask you really, really quickly. So, when it comes to where you can find me, if you'd like to find me, obviously you're watching this on YouTube. So thank you for watching this on YouTube. Appreciate you getting this far into the podcast episode. You can find me there on YouTube at Nepherti with one I. For those of you who are watching this live, you can find me on YouTube. Please, go subscribe. I do shorts. I create shorts. I obviously post all the podcast episodes there. So if you'd like to know and you don't want to use Twitter X, you can just subscribe to me there for free, and that'd be awesome. That'd be really, really helpful, and it would definitely help me grow and pay homage to the algorithms, the great algorithm, the great YouTube algorithm. So if you'd like to support me there, I'd really appreciate that. You can also find me on Twitch, obviously, and on Twitch and Twitter, X. You can find me on those platforms at Nepherti with 2 I's, and I believe you can also get information about the podcast. My podcast itself has its own account on Twitter X. It's called at Sweet Awking Pod. You can follow that account for updates about the podcast. If you want to learn more about what's coming up soon, who's the next guest, all updates are posted there. I usually retweet the stuff that comes from there, but if you'd like to know sooner, I would advise please follow that account. And lastly, one last thing. If you would like to see me do more content, if you'd like to see me produce more of the quality content that I'd like to do, and just do more as a streamer as a whole, you can check out my Patreon at patreon.com/Nepherti with 1 I. And if you'd like to just help me do more as a content creator and a streamer, that is the way to do it. And the rewards are quite nice, I would say. Just as a quick overview, basically, the highest tier currently gets you an hour alone with me. If you're interested in that sort of thing, you can definitely check that out. And again, all subscriptions are starting at $1. And obviously on Twitch, there's all the things down below. If you'd like to just, support me, go on my throne, my, donate, whatever. That's all down below in my About section on Twitch, if that's of interest to you. And so, with all of that said, again, I'd like to thank you very, very much, Ziggy, for being on the podcast. It's been a great time. Thank you for being willing to join me tonight. Again, you've done a lot to help further what I do as a creator. You've been very kind to me. And I think the least that I could do is let people know just how awesome of an individual you are, and so that they can know who you are and know what you're about to a greater degree. I think a lot of people in our circles wanted to know more about who you are and what drives you, what makes you who you are. And I think they got a chance to really see that firsthand. And even people who don't know who you are, I think people will appreciate your character and your generosity. And I think that's all very, very well good, as we need more of that kind of kindness and thoughtfulness in the world, where people are willing to listen and understand each other, because you never really know what people are going through until you have an opportunity to actually talk with them. So thank you again for being on the podcast. I hope those of you who are watching got something out of this tonight. If you would like to leave a comment, please let me know what your favorite part was. If there's something that really kind of resonated with you in the podcast, please leave a comment down below. Of course, like, favorite, and not like, favorite, but like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube. I'd really appreciate you if you did that. And of course, I'd love to continue to do this, and I hope you all will continue to support me as I do my best to do what I do. So with that said, I will see you all next time. Thank you again, Ziggy, for being my guest today. And of course, I will see the rest of you on the next one. So until next time, take care, be well, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. I gotta make the I gotta make the sad guy laugh. I gotta make the I have to make
Oh. Uh-oh. How was the void?
The white void? My favorite place. I love void spaces. Void spaces are my most favorite thing. Oh my gosh. Chat, I appreciate you just being here, chat. Thank you. No. Oh my gosh. What the, like, this literally never happens. It's never happened. And like, now you guys can see my controllers. Like, why can you see my controllers now? What the fuck?
Yeah,
that's not good.
That's fun.
Get myself in order. Don't worry, Ziggy, you're fine. Just sit there. Just sit there and and look cute. It's easy. It's easy. just stare into the camera.
Look into the camera.
Just look into the camera.